how we welcome you to Artistic Spots, a show about art, talent, and entrepreneurship, where you are also the artist. In Artistic Spot, we're actors of our movies, singers of our musicals, and writers of our books. My name is Jose Rodriguez Marvel, and I'm your host. And today we have a very special guest, Mr. Ken Austin, sitting right next to me, recording this episode from his studio at Favo. Mr. Ken, I'm so honored to be sitting right next to you.
Well, thank you. I'm so happy to be here.
Thank you for accepting our invitation. You are a master in art and in watercolors. You're also the founder of the Master Society of the Watercolor Society in Central Florida.
Central Florida Watercolor Society is the name.
So tell us a little bit about how you ended up there after having an experience in architecture and city planning back in the 60s and the 70s. And your mother was also an oil painter teacher.
Yeah.
Can you tell us the story how you fell in love with art?
Sure. Of course, I always had support for doing art. A lot of children don't get that. It's like, you know, what is that? But with my mom, it was always, you know, come on, let's do this. And she was a great supporter all the way through my, until she died, through my career. And so I ended up getting serious about painting when I was in architecture school, because back in those days, we didn't have computers to do everything. We actually had to use brushes and paint and all that. But she kept with me, and she and I actually painted together until we'd go out and paint outdoors together until, from the time I was about 4 years old, when my dad was overseas in the Army, until I was in high school. And that was great because she would help me with things, and she was always, of course, supportive. And so that's where I started. From there, in architecture, we had to paint in watercolor. We had some great teachers, and that was a big step forward for me. And then in architecture, I kept in touch with it because I loved it so much. And when I had to do an architectural delineation, a representation of something that was going to be built, I'd do it in watercolor. If they would pay for it. Anyhow, I kept on and ended up in Houston working there, and joined the Watercolor Society there and was with them for 7 or 8 years. I ended up being the president of the society, which didn't mean that I could paint so well, but it meant that I would put up with all the issues they had to do. But that was a great thing. They were a wonderful society, great artists there. So, and that kept up, and when I got here, I realized they didn't have anything like that. And I figured, well, we need to get one because there were a lot of good artists here. So I just started emailing the people I knew, and I asked them would they be interested, and then I got maybe 8 or 10 of them together, and I said, okay, we're going to have a meeting, and we met, and it went on from there, and within another 2 years we had a bona fide organization, which we still have. It's about 200 or 300 members, I think, and still active, and some wonderful, wonderful painters in there. I mean, not including me, but...
But you're also part of the National Society of Watercolors, the National Watercolor Society,
yes,
correct?
Yeah, there are 2 or 3 national groups. This one is one, there are 2 major groups, the American Watercolor Society and the National Watercolor Society. And so I've been in the National Watercolor Society for, I don't know, almost 10 years, and I've been in the Florida Watercolor Society for almost 20 years. So You know, that's enough societies for me.
Can you tell us a little bit about the awards that the National Watercolor Society has given to you because of your career?
I don't know if they've given me any awards, but I've been in several of their shows. You have to be in, I think, 3 of their shows, or 4 maybe, in order to be invited into the organization. And believe me, you're up against some really terrific artists. I mean, it's a national group that celebrated their 100th year this year. So I feel happy to be in there. I submit every 2 or 3 years, but I get in a show, but I don't get I don't get asked in.
What's your biggest inspiration? I know this is a very common question, but when we look around your studio and see your artwork, we see different things. They're very colorful. What inspires you? What's the story that you like to tell to the people that visit you in your studio at Favo, or that they see your work online, or someone who's interested in maybe purchasing one of your artwork for their homes or their special place?
Well, I don't know that there's a story. What I like to do is I love color, and I'm interested in all kinds of, all styles. I like abstract, I like traditional, and all those things. And I use different techniques for different things, and I like the fact that I can explore different areas. And so, you know, that's basically what I'm all about. And if they like it, great. If they don't have to buy it.
What do you think about those people that consider that Ken Austin, it's the master watercolorist of Florida?
No.
Why you don't think you are?
Well, there might be some people that think that. I hope so. But I think there's some watercolorists that are really superior. You know, in every area that you see, somebody is always superior, and that's because everybody else that does the same thing says, "Wow, I wish I could do that." And that's the way it is here in Florida. We have some incredibly good artists here. Maybe me, but maybe not. Anyhow, and so I mean, you know, a lot of them are members of national and international societies, and they win awards every show they're in. What can I say?
I think you're a very happy person. Now, Ken, how do you celebrate life through happiness and through the colors of your paintings?
Well, I guess that's part of it. I love color, and I love design, and you know, I've had incredibly great teachers, which I'm thankful for, and so I like to experiment all the time. I mean, even if I'm doing a traditional scene in a traditional style, I will work with it to make it not necessarily a photograph, but something that makes a really interesting painting. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, but you know, that's the story.
If you are given the chance to go back in time and choose the most impactful story in your career in this past 60 years, which one would that be and why?
I think it would be a great teacher that I had, and she taught in Houston. Polly Hammett was her name. She died several years ago, and she was a wonderful teacher. And she said, "I don't have any rules except one, and that rule is, you know, when you if you have coffee, put your coffee on the left and your water on the right." Unless you're left-handed. She said.
That's very interesting.
She was wonderful. and she's a terrific artist herself, not recognized the way she ought to be, but she was great. And so she was a huge influence on me. We became fast friends. And her sister, Virginia Cobb, is another terrific artist in watercolor. And we're good friends. Virginia still chats with me on the phone. But that was a great learning experience. We became good friends, and we ended up sharing a studio for several years. And of course, you know, we talked about each other's paintings. And you know, she left me a note one time. She'd done something, and she said, "Call me and tell me what you think." And I called her up, and I said, I said, "Why are you asking me?" But people like that have been a big influence. People that have supported me have been, I mean, my wife has supported me, you know, all this time. And a lot of men couldn't get away with being away from home all day.
That's true.
You know, and I try to split my time, but it's a lot easier now that I'm retired. So that's kind of my story.
That's wonderful, Ken. What can you tell the new generation of painters? What's that motto? Because I understand that you have a specific thing that you like to tell artists. Don't be afraid of color. But what would you tell them if you were given the chance to talk to them through the lens of this camera and through this episode of Artistic Spot? What would you tell our audience and why?
Well, I think one thing I'd say is don't be afraid to experiment. Don't be afraid to use a new technique that you've read about or you've seen or somebody did in a workshop. Move forward. And you're not going to be great at everything. Maybe you're not going to be great at anything, but you can still be a good artist. And that's what a lot of people can't be.
That's true.
Yeah.
Where can people find your artwork? If they're interested in purchasing a piece of art from Ken Austin and have them in that special place at home, or give that as a gift to a significant person, where can they purchase that?
Well, they can email me. I'm not in any art galleries at the time. I'm talking with some people, and of course, if they come here on First Friday and First Saturdays now, I'll probably be here. And I've got, as you can see, I've got all that I own in here. You can't see it, folks, but it's overflowing.
Beautiful pieces of art.
Thank you. Thank you.
We're thankful, Ken, for having you as part of our story. Thank you very much for opening the doors of your studio.
Sure.
And for sharing your wonderful story and your happiness, which is amazing. And that's something that we should all really look up to.
I'm just happy that I got to be this old.
Well, that's good, right?
Yeah, it's great for me.
It's great for you, and then us, we see a legacy and that thing that we need in someone we have to look up to.
And I appreciate that. I thank you. I hope other people can be inspired by something that I do or that I say. And so this has been a great opportunity for me.
And it has been a great opportunity for me sitting right next to you and telling your story through the lens of Artistic Spot. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
For those of you our audience, don't forget to follow us on Instagram, RJJ Design, Facebook, JJ Arts and Design, and subscribe to our Artistic Spot YouTube channel. And of course, don't forget to tune us back in next week for another episode of Artistic Spot, where you are also the artist.